Who do you guys have winning the cup?
Honestly, the way Florida's been playing, it just looks like they. I think the only team that could beat Florida is Vegas, honestly.
Dude, Vegas versus Florida Stanley Cup final is crazy.
Yeah. I think
Like
the
either
only
one of those teams winning the cup is crazy. It's gonna be nuts.
Florida reminds me of the LA Kings when they won that first cup. They were the 8th seed and nobody expected them, and they just played harder than everyone, had depth scoring, good goaltending, and they just like were playing no fear, you know?
Dude, that's what scared me before the Florida Panthers the game that they won. They interviewed Kachuk and he's like, "Yeah, we're not even thinking about closing out this series. Like we just want to play our game." And I was like, "What? Close the series out." But then they closed it out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hey,
Yeah.
there he is.
There's Shazo. What's going on?
What's up, Neil?
How you
Hey,
doing?
hey,
Good,
big.
how are you?
TK, what's up?
On episode 89 of the Buzz Pod, we are excited to have the former Massachusetts High School Hockey Gatorade Player of the Year, ISL and small school champion at Lawrence Academy. He played at the Chicago Steel for a year, Northeastern for 2 years, and finished his last 2 years at Sacred Heart University. He most recently finished this last season with the Chicago Wolves of the AHL. My good friend and former teammate and line mate. Welcome to the Buzz Pod, Neil Shea. Neil, how you doing, big dog?
I'm doing well. Thank you, boys, for having me on.
Awesome intro, and we are very happy to have you on, Neil. We got a lot to talk about. First of all, do you recognize this jersey?
Yeah, I do recognize that jersey. I
It's
was
a
I was in attendance for someone getting a beat down on the ice under that jersey in the past
you were at that game, hey?
I was there, yeah.
That's so funny because at the end of the season, so I don't know why you just don't get your own jersey for free. You got to buy your jersey, and I bought this one because it was like the one from that video.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta have it. What
So
what
let
what
me
was your
just
what was your brother saying about that? Because your brother's on that team.
Nothing really. Kind of just thought it was funny a little bit, to be honest. Like he was just kind of like, can't believe that actually just happened. He
Oh,
was
that's such BS. Hey, Shazo called me right after that, Blatch, and he was like, don't worry, Shazo. Blatchy loves this shit. He's a psycho. Hey, Shazo called me right after that, and he FaceTimed me, and I was like, what's up, dude? He's like, I just watched your buddy Blatchy play my brother's team. What a crazy motherfucker.
all right. Yeah, but
Oh,
that was my opinion, not my brother.
Shazo, break it down what you saw, what you were there.
Uh, I was just kind of watching a hockey game, and all of a sudden there was a goal scored, and the lights went off, and they came back on, and he was just beating the shit out of the kid, and the kid was on the ice. He just kept feeding him. Pretty sure he got up and gave the like let me hear it to the fans and kind of skated off. It was pretty funny, to be honest, but
all the fans were double birds. Did you got the double birds out? You can be honest.
no, I didn't get the double birds. I was kind of just laughing. I thought it was kind of funny.
Oh, that was all time. That was all time. I'm actually glad you were there. It's a pretty good opening to this pod. But how you doing, man? I think we have a lot to talk about. But first off, I believe you're living with Marky right now, or he's staying with you or something.
I am, yeah. He's been here the past couple of days. He's coming to Sacred Heart next year, so he's here for the week, working out and training, getting acclimated. So
And how's he doing? Is he rubbing off on you, or you rubbing off on him? Because he's got a great vibe to him right now. He's first shout out to Top G Hockey. But this is the most dialed I've ever seen him. You guys been training together?
we haven't yet. He got here we're starting up tomorrow, so we'll see what he's got in there. But he seems pretty dialed. I think he's rubbing off on me a little bit, starting to question some of my eating habits and stuff after watching what he does. So
I love that, dude. Rubbing off on you in a great way. I love that.
Why I hang out with him over the summer. His mom cooks great food, and it's usually healthy too. There's always leftovers at that house.
okay, noted.
You know TK's all over those leftovers all the time.
Oh man.
But Shazo, I wanted to get into your career a little bit. Obviously you started playing high school hockey. I think you kind of lit that league up, but Can we kind of fast forward to the USHL? I want to know who's your coach in Chicago Steel?
Greg Moore.
Greg Moore. Oh, okay. So it wasn't Muse. Was Muse there the year before?
Uh, 2 years before I think he had left. The year before me, I think the guy was just there for 1 year.
Yeah. Were you in high school then or no?
Yeah, it was
Geneva High?
no, oh no, not when I was in no, I didn't go to high school in Chicago. No, I was finished. So
Oh, okay. Because I had a cup of coffee in Chicago. I went to Geneva High School, so I was just wondering.
Yeah,
yeah,
a cup of coffee in a lot of places.
Yeah, just about everywhere. Just about everywhere. But how was the USHL? Because I saw you put up some great numbers there, and I'd imagine it's a much higher level than St. Lawrence Academy.
St. Lawrence, buddy. It's Lawrence. Get the name.
Oh, then Lawrence Academy.
yeah, it was definitely good. I had a great experience there. I think what they have going on in Chicago's pretty special now. Obviously, you see a lot of like really talented high-end players going through there. I think it's kind of, I think Z can speak to this. He's played for Moorsey a little this year. Like he's really smart about the game. Kind of, he's a complete hockey nerd in a good way. Like lives and dies for it. Like, and it's honestly some of his coaching styles is like new and unique to what I had ever known before. But like once you adjust to it and like start listening to what he's saying, believing it, I think he's one of the smartest hockey minds I've been around. So I had a great experience there. I was lucky enough to play with some really good players. Yeah, it was I thought it was honestly one of my favorite years in hockey. I thought like development wise that year I developed the most probably out of any of the places I've ever played before. So I love my time there. So thought it's obviously a great league to prepare for college and whatnot, but Chicago's a great place too to play.
Great,
Yeah.
great locker room, great setup they got there. Did you guys get a lot of fans? Because when I was there, no fans.
Not really. When we got to the playoffs, we had a pretty good run that year. We lost in the Clark Cup, so we started to get some pretty decent fans towards the end of the year and in playoffs. But earlier on the regular season, we weren't getting too much. But I think now they get a pretty decent fan base, obviously, because they got some big names playing there. So, but when I was there, no, the fans were not. There wasn't too many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there definitely wasn't many fans when I was playing against you guys there. But you talk about your time there and how much you love the development side, and a ton of good players are coming out of that organization. And what do you think they do different to make them, develop their players better? Why are there a ton of good products coming out of Chicago? Do they just have a really good setup and accessibility to ice and extra sessions, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Every morning they have two full-time skills coaches that are there every single morning, Monday to Friday, before practice, going out and doing skill work with them, like game like skill stuff. Every morning it's right there for you. And the two guys that did it, the skills coaches are legit. And one of them's Darrow Belfry, the other one's Adam Nicholas. They're both working in the NHL, so they know their stuff. And then just they were kind of on the same pages with the coaches. Like the stuff they were teaching wasn't just them teaching it and then we're not implementing it any other ways. Like they're teaching it and the coaches want us to implement it. And once everyone starts to buy in and starts to do it, it starts to create just like better players and everyone's kind of on the same page because we're all doing it together. And as far as hockey wise, like obviously they care about winning, but like they were focused more on like the individual players and getting them better. And like I think their belief was if they develop players well enough, then the winning's going to come if everyone's developing as players. So I just think the time and effort that they put in, the things they provide as far as skills coaches, their film sessions every single day, as much as you want, just the littlest things, they're doing it all. And I don't think from what I've heard from some other players that have played other teams, I just don't think that's going on everywhere. So I think that's kind of what separates them.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. That's exactly what I would want.
Did you guys have access to the locker room 24/7? Because I remember when I was there, we would play cards in at night in the locker room, or is that not a thing anymore?
That we had access, but we never really did that when I was there. So I don't know if that like must have stopped before I got there, but
Oh yeah, maybe. But I thought that was really cool because we would have access to the locker room, and there was like a nice lounge there with the ping pong table and everything. So we'd go there at night, play some cards. It was a pretty good time.
Yeah, it's really nice setup in there. Obviously, the rink's it's a little older and not so nice, but like the lounge area and locker room is really nice. So that was good to have to obviously spend time with the boys and stuff in there.
Hey, so before we go to the Northeastern days, though, Zach, I want to ask Shazo something. So we played together at Lawrence, when you left Marshfield High, and then we both left. You went to Chicago. I went to the Junior Bruins, and then you made the decision to go back to Lawrence that same year. So talk a little bit about that decision to go back. Why'd you make that decision? Why was like Lawrence valuable to you and your experience there, and what'd you like about it, and kind of what all went into that?
I just think at that point in my career, I thought what was best for me was to just be playing a lot and kind of playing in a league where I knew I was going to play in all situations. Me personally, I think you're better off doing that. Getting puck touches, being kind of the go-to guy or one of them, and then I just thought like if I was going to the USHL the next year, like it might as well get one more year to get my confidence up a little more, like just keep developing, kind of trying to dominate games and just kind of, play all situations, just have the puck, be confident, just kind of use that whole year to kind of just build it up as much as you can before taking the next step the next year in juniors, which is obviously a jump from prep school. So I think just the ability to play all situations and kind of gain confidence and just kind of, do your thing out there and try to just better yourself. So I think that was a big prep school.
That's a great value question or answer for young kids who are dying to go to the next level and just play in the best league. We talk about that all the time. Yeah, like me. We talk about that all the time though. Like you want to dominate your level. We were just talking about it before you hopped on. Before you move on to the next one, you want to dominate yours. You want to be a go-to guy and you want to get puck touches. That's how you get better. Z?
Before we move on from Chicago, do you have any favorite breakfast spots in Chicago?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah.
Buttermilk. It's in in Geneva, Illinois. It's called Buttermilk. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay. There's a couple Steel alum that are here in Toronto, and they wanted me to ask you because you're not a real Steel alum if you don't know what buttermilk is.
Yeah, buttermilk. That's gonna be it.
They've got unbelievable skillets and pancakes. So
the Wilder skillet.
Shout out to Buttermilk.
Hey, I got a quick question here. We could cut this out of the pod, if it's not what we're looking to hear. But I more want this for myself. We always chat and stuff, Shazo. But we played together at Lawrence, me, you, and Craig. Then you played with Sammy and Gunnar after Colangelo and Fontaine, two Northeastern guys.
Oh God!
Where do I rank on that all-time favorite linemate?
Oh my
God! Let's get relative here, champ.
I like this question though.
Where am I at?
That's a legit question.
This is good for scouts tuning in. They're like, "Who's this TK guy?" So pay attention where you rate him.
Yeah, this is a legit question. So I mean,
an answer honestly. You're not hurting any feelings here, but I don't think you're gonna hurt my feelings.
TK's flexing right now.
You know me too well. I would never say anything bad. No, I think, is this like a serious question? You want me?
This is a serious question.
You can just say he's up there.
You're gonna cut it out, so
roast is it.
This is a serious question. This will stay in.
Honestly, you're one of the favorite guys I've ever played with. Like, and I'm not just saying it I know you want me to fucking pump your tires right now, but
no, I don't. I just want to know.
No, you do. That's why you asked the question.
Yeah, he does. He wants you to pump him. But
I know you loved it, big dog.
Yeah, I loved it. You're a really good player. We'll leave it at that.
Oh my God, that's.
I got a good story before we
wait, real quick. Actually, before your good story, what was your first impression of Timmy Kent? Like you first meet this guy, what are you thinking?
I kind of just thought he was high energy, loved to talk, confident, and learned pretty quickly. Those were all pretty accurate. So
yeah, that's spot on, Timmy Kent, right there.
Oh man,
that's hopefully.
Well, at least I'm authentic, eh?
That was spot on. You after USHL, you went to Northeastern University and you played there for 2 years. I think you didn't have the success that you wanted, which is why you ended up entering the transfer portal. But can you talk a little bit about your time at Northeastern? Maybe what you think didn't click for you, what you learned there, and then what attributed to your success at Sacred Heart and basically the turnaround of your NCAA career.
Yeah, obviously going to Northeastern, like you get there's a lot of good players. Like obviously Z knows this, he was there. It's tough to kind of like obviously it's not easy to find a really good opportunity. But I thought every day I just tried to, there's a lot of good players out there. We had a good team, so just trying to, keep your head down and work. And obviously it didn't click. It was kind of first time in my career where I had went through like not really scoring, not really being the guy. And it's honestly looking back on it now, like at the time I was frustrated. Like as a player, you want to play a ton, you want to have success. But looking back on it now, like you said, like I think going through that helped me so much. Where at the time maybe I didn't realize, like I was just frustrated. But just still try to show up and work every day and just be a good teammate and get better. But I think um just looking back on it, like I think a lot of the stuff I went through, like mentally or whatever that year, like going into Sacred Heart after I transferred, allowed me to like evaluate what I need to work on and get better at, as well as kind of just trying to find my confidence again. And I think some of the hard times you go through like mentally and like as a hockey player, everyone goes through them. So I think just being able to take those times and learn from them, like at the end of the day, it's hockey. Like there's people going through a lot worse and like things. So like just being at Sacred Heart, it's kind of looking back on those experiences, like when things get tough, just knowing that like you can always just kind of fight through it. And I think at Sacred Heart, like I was given more of a like offensive role. So I think that might be why like statistically it clicked a little better for me. I was obviously older too and had played 2 years of college, so I had more experience too. But I think in Northeastern, like it was still looking back and it was good for me. Like I went through a lot of stuff, learned a lot about myself individually, and like I also got to play with some really good players and just be around them every day. Like being a younger guy in college, just being around those guys and like seeing what they do every day. It's kind of like the next step at every level. You see that like the top guys what it takes, and I think there you're lucky enough to have some really good players that you can learn from. And yeah, so I think every experience you go through in life, there's good things you can take away from and things you can learn from. So
Yeah. And I'm sure so when you're going through things like that, I'm sure doubt settles in. For you, when you transferred, you had a ton of success at Sacred Heart. Was part of the frustration at Northeastern, kind of that you were doubting yourself, or the opposite, that you felt like you knew you could succeed at this level, but you weren't, and it was frustrating to you? Or were
I
you kind of losing a little bit of, do you understand the question?
yeah, I think a little bit of both, honestly. I think like at first I kind of you think like obviously you got to be confident, like you always you think you're like whatever, like maybe a coach sees you as something you think you're not, like it's kind of your job as a player to show up and bury your head and do what's asked of you. But in my head, I kind of like I knew I was good enough to have success at the college level, and obviously, like sometimes doesn't happen right away. But I think a little bit like going through that, I'm not gonna lie, like I there was times where I doubted myself or lost some confidence, and then like that, it affects the way you play too. So like my advice on that is to just no matter what you're going through, like you just maybe if one coach doesn't see you the way another coach does or something like that, you just always got to remember like what you are as a player, what you're capable of. And if there's days where maybe you're losing some confidence or doubting yourself, just you got to try not to let that creep into you because it does affect your play. I think that started to happen to me a little bit Northeastern towards the end of it. So I think just always like going back to like just believing in yourself and kind of know what you are as a player, and just kind of always betting on yourself is what's gonna that's what's gonna put you in the best situation to succeed.
Absolutely. And a quick follow-up with that. How refreshing was it for you to have success that first year at Sacred Heart?
It was really nice. And to be honest, if you look at it, I think the first 10 or 12 games I had like two or 3 points maybe. And that's again, the doubts started to creep in, like maybe I'm not good enough to play at this level. But that was kind of like that was a time where I was talking with, like, a lot of my friends and stuff, and like, and kind of looked myself in the mirror and was like, like, kind of, what you're capable of. Like, you got to start, like, now's the time, you got to do it. You can't keep like blowing time away or whatever, because there's only so much, like, it flies by. And I think after like a month into that first year at Sacred Heart, like, I really started dialing in, like, trying to do extra work on my own and whatnot before and after practice, and just doing everything I could, and just being able to look myself in the mirror every day and saying, like, I'm doing everything I can, put myself in the best situation possible, and just getting that confidence back and just believing yourself. And eventually things started to click for you. And obviously once, you start to get bounce and stuff going your way, that helps obviously with your confidence. And then, once that started happening, it's obviously really refreshing to get the confidence back and start getting bounces. And then obviously just continuing to build off that throughout the rest of the years. It was nice.
Hell yeah, dude. I love to hear that, because you just explained, like, that's confidence through work. We've talked about that many times here. That's the best way to gain confidence, is through work. If you're not confident, then put in the extra work and you're going to gain confidence through that work. And that's exactly what you did from the sounds of it. So that's top-notch stuff for our listeners. But Z, you got some?
When you're in Northeastern, or when you're for you, Shazer, when you're at Northeastern, or when you're in a situation where you're not playing as much as you like and you're beating up on yourself mentally, it's super important, I think, to zoom out and take the bigger perspective here of, okay, I'm not playing on this team right now for this coach because maybe he doesn't see me in the role that I see me in, or whatever reason, but I'm still going to work on my game and trust my process. And exactly what you said, betting on yourself throughout the tough times of not playing. And eventually over time, you're going to get better. You're going to get better. You're going to continue to work on your game. You're going to grow. And when you do get that opportunity, you have success, just like you did at Shea in your first year. Because I remember when you were at Northeastern and things were hard and you were in and out of the lineup and you weren't playing as much as maybe you should have. And you always brought the same work ethic every day, and you always controlled your attitude and effort. And that's all you can do when you're in that situation. And that's why it makes the most sense that you had success in your years at Shea, a lot of success your second year after you got your true feet wet with a lot of touches and game situation in that first year. And before you came on the podcast, TK had said, Neil is a guy, it took him 3 minutes to say it, but he said, Neil is a guy I've always believed in, and I always knew when he got an opportunity, he was going to succeed. It took him 3 minutes to spit that out, but he said
He had
that before.
1,000 likes in. But yeah,
well, I always, when you play with a guy, you always know if they have that dog in them and that inner drive, sometimes
without a doubt.
People up top that are watching, or coaches, that aren't in the locker room with them, don't know. But when you play on a guy's team, or specifically, we played together a full year, Neil, and we were tight, and we were always, about like getting the work in, and, like having success, and like trying to bring it every game. I always knew that you kind of had what it took to have the capacity for, the journey. And when you got your shot, that you would bring that same intensity. So yeah, that's what I was telling these guys beforehand.
You want to make out right now, TK? You want to make out with him?
No, he's not the best looking guy in the world.
Oh God.
Oh man. No, but Shazo, I wanted to ask about your first pro experience that you just got. You got a cup of coffee in the AHL with the Chicago Wolves after your second final year of NCAA. How was that?
It was good. It was obviously just at the end of the college year to go experience that. It's obviously really nice just to kind of see what like the everyday life is like practicing, workouts and obviously games and stuff. It's all super beneficial to like looking back on it, like super grateful that I got the chance to go and do that. Obviously it's a lot more like serious in college. Like it's kind of like it's a job. Like you got to show up every morning. You got to do what you're asked, and you gotta, if you're not pulling your weight, you'll fall behind pretty quick. I learned. So yeah, that was a really good experience to show up and just kind of see how like some of those guys operate from day to day. Obviously, there's guys there that played in a ton of NHL games, have played at the highest levels, just kind of see how they carry themselves from day to day and stuff like that, and what they're doing before, how they're taking care of their bodies, like how they're dieting, stuff like that. So yeah, I think the chance to go and play there at the end of the year was awesome. Like obviously going into starting pro career, it's super beneficial to have had that.
Definitely. What would you say about the jump from NCAA, from playing at Shea and then going right into the American League at the end of the year? And I'm pretty sure there's a couple meaningful games in there for some of the teams you played against. So you were getting some playoff type games. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I just yeah, so we were, like you said, they were in a playoff push when I got there, and they had some injuries and stuff. So I was lucky enough to get in right away, and it was obviously the games were hard. Like everyone was giving it their all. It was a battle. Obviously it's cliche, but the games are, they're faster. Guys are, all the guys are smart. Like things happen fast. You gotta be fully engaged all the time, and if you're not, you fall asleep for a split second. You learn pretty quickly that the puck's gonna be probably in the back of your net and stuff. So I just think those games you learn, like you gotta give it 100% every shift. Obviously, like you gotta battle out there. You gotta pull your weight because everyone else on the team's pulling their weight at that level. They take it so seriously. Not saying that guys don't in college, but it's one of the highest levels for a reason. Everyone's so dialed, and everyone cares so much. So I think just all like the cliche stuff, it's faster, guys are smarter, but it really is. And you can't take any time for granted or fall asleep for any time, because you gotta be dialed in the whole time, or else you're gonna, fall behind pretty fast.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah, that's a fact. What are your off ice hobbies? I know your brother Pat Shea. I mean, he's obviously big influencer in the hockey world. He's got like 78K. I'm looking at his Instagram right now. He's always posting stuff. Um, what do you do? Are you a part of that? Are you a YouTube guy also, or what are you doing in your off time?
No, I'm not really a part of
Do you
that.
get oh wait, actually, do you get a little bit of heat for that? Because I could understand how in the hockey culture it's way different, but a lot of guys love your brother's stuff. Like I could also see how you get a lot of like good and some bad.
Some of those skits are just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, you're hilarious.
When he first started, I would hear some. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily get heat for it. Some people would give me heat, more so just like chirping him, but I kind of always like, I've obviously it's my brother, so I'm gonna let him do what he wants and always believe in him and stuff like that. And
It's
it's
funny
just,
because you probably hear it less now that he's more successful, right?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like some of these kids that I know, like, used to give him a hard time and stuff, or trying to act like they love him now and all this stuff. But I just,
Yeah.
for him, it's something he's passionate about and he believes in, enjoys doing it. So I think for him, even at first too, just starting to do that, like he took a lot of heat, probably chirped a lot in games, whatnot. But I give him credit because he stuck with it, kind of didn't really care what people thought about it, or kind of he knew there was some people out there that liked it. And obviously it's grown a pretty good amount. He has a pretty good following. Like obviously there's a lot of people that love his videos. Sometimes you see like people giving him a hard time or whatnot, but that's just kind of how life goes, and you just got to do what you want to do and stuff. But I don't really get involved with it, to be honest. So back to like the question, I kind of a bit different away from the rink, like just kind of pretty laid back, go golfing, just kind of hang out, don't do nothing too crazy. So pretty easy going.
I like that. You could ask your brother if this is true, because it is. But I never chirped him about that, because I chirp a lot and I chirp everybody. But I respect going out of your comfort zone, doing things that are different, especially in the hockey world. Even this, even starting a podcast is different, looked at as different. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I always respect guys that step out of the comfort zone, do things that are different. He's kind of the first guy that's done it playing. And I think that's why he's had a ton of success, is because he's pretty much the only guy that does it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I haven't seen anyone else doing it, but I agree with you. Like he stepped out of his comfort zone, and maybe at the start, like when he didn't have as big of a following, or it wasn't going well for him. I think you can kind of relate. It's like hockey, like
Yeah, for
you gotta,
sure.
you gotta stick with it, obviously, and like you believe in yourself and what you want to do. So it's kind of something he believed in and thought he enjoys doing and likes to do. So it's going pretty well for him. Hopefully, it keeps growing. So.
Yeah, I love that. Is there some things that you're looking to improve on in this off season specifically to transfer into professional hockey?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you can always look to just keep getting better at everything, but some things for me personally, like a big thing for me is my shot. I want to get my shot better. Like one of the things I learned at the higher level is you don't have nearly as much time to get your shots off, or you got to change the angle a lot more than you would have to in college and stuff like that. So, my shooting, like just getting it off quicker, the accuracy is one of the biggest things I'm gonna try to improve on this summer. So that and obviously just everything else, little details you can always get better at. So, but I think my shooting's one big thing that I work on.
And your summer training is there at Shoe?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay here this summer. We were lucky enough to get this guy. His name's Rob Dombrowski. He was working for Ben Prentice, who's like
Yeah,
third.
in Chicago.
Yeah, so he had some really good clients, and he actually left there to just come work here. So with the new facility, we have a really good setup. The ice is going to be in all summer, so I think there's like 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 15 other pro guys going to come here too. So should be a good group.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
I need you to talk about the new facility. I'm a teammate with an alumni of SHU, Mark Johnstone,
Yeah.
and he did not get to experience the new facilities in the locker room. So I want you to explain him a little bit so he can be salty about it on this pod.
And I can imagine the old ones probably weren't great.
It wasn't terrible. We played in Bridgeport, the AHL rink. It's like 15, 20 minutes from campus. So uh never had more than probably 100 fans, everyone's
Oh,
parents and a couple other people from school maybe, but
Chicks didn't care that much about you guys then, eh, Shea?
no, I guess not.
Now they do.
Well, now we'll get to the new rink. So yeah, the new rink's unbelievable. The facilities are ridiculous. They're probably better than a lot of pro facilities. The gym is unbelievable. Like I said, we have a great strength coach. There's a synthetic shooting room with like real boards, real glass. Uh, the video room with 4 rows of like movie theater like seating.
Wow.
Huge flat screen TV.
Wow.
Big lounge. There's like 3 big flat screens on the wall. We get lunch every single day, breakfast on game days, dinner the night before home games. It was honestly unbelievable. Then obviously the rink itself, like I was just saying, when we were playing at the Bridgeport Islanders rink, we got no fans, and our first game at our new rink was sold out, and I think every
wow.
single one of them after that was sold out or just shy of it. So it was kind of like you almost felt like you just started at a whole new school like halfway through the year. But it was pretty incredible, and I think it's going to definitely help this school elevate. Hopefully, I think it's already trending in the right direction. But I think with this facility, like if they bring kids here to check it out and stuff, it's going to be like tough to not want to play here. So it was definitely pretty sweet to have that.
That's really cool. That's really cool. All the
John Stone's
alumni
just
can be
rattled
jealous.
right now. John Stone's
Yeah.
just shaking his head.
Yeah, he's like, I should have went 4 years later. That's funny. Your 6 pro games, uh, did you have like a welcome to pro hockey moment? I know it's kind of a small sample size, but there's crazy stuff that happens in pro hockey all the time.
Oh, he
I was
didn't
just
play
wondering
against me. His welcome to pro was watching my game.
Uh, honestly, just nothing too crazy happened. I think the first game I played was just kind of like the first shift or whatever was kind of just like it's kind of like you're just kind of out there and you're kind of like wow, like this is one of the, it's pretty cool, like it's one of the highest levels, like it's kind of like you got so much adrenaline going, it's so fun. So like it's like you're there and you know like you're in the game, you have so much adrenaline going. Then obviously like I played 6 games. Towards like the last couple, I started to feel a bit more comfortable and stuff. So, but I think just like nothing too crazy happened. But I think for me, just the first couple games, just being out there it's kind of like wow, like this is it. Like you got to go now. So,
Yeah, I remember
Is-
that feeling too. My first game.
yeah,
I remember
yeah,
that. Do you remember that, Z?
in the coast
Well, I just remember my first pro game. Yeah, in the coast. I
for the
won't say
Blades.
the
Oh,
coast,
my
but
bad. I thought you were talking about the American League, but
no. Well,
yeah, I do
I
remember
remember my
that.
first pro game in the coast. Like I caught myself like almost thinking from outside of me, like, wow, this is sick. Like I'm playing a pro game right now. I don't know. It's crazy like that. I slowed it down and like when I was on the ice and like actually thought that. I remember thinking that this is sick playing my first pro game. And I was dialed though, but I don't know. I just remember thinking that.
My first pro shift, I'm pretty sure I thought that every guy was moving at the speed of NASCAR. Like this is flying right
That's
now.
like my first USHL shift. I fell 3 times. I'd love to get footage of my first USHL shift. I got on the ice. I pivoted to break out. I fell. I went on the forecheck. I hit a guy. I fell. And then and then I fell one more time in the shift. 3 times I fell in the shift. So that's a true story. And I'm gonna look for that clip because that's bananas. This day, it's like the worst shift of my career. But Kerry Eads was a coach, so he loved fighting. I don't know if any of you guys know him, but shout out to Kerry Eads. But anyway, to wrap this up, we're gonna wrap this up. TK, you got anything else?
I got
TK.
All right. So before we wrap this up, just want to let everyone know we'll be uploading all of our episodes to YouTube moving forward. I think it'll help us step up our game. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Buzz Pod. And if you have not gotten your hands on one of these hats, do so. We're going to add a promo code 8989 for this episode. So if you're listening, you'll get 10% off. Thank you for tuning in. And Shazo, thanks for coming on, bro. We really appreciate it.
yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Unreal.
Thanks, Shazo.
yeah, appreciate
Thank
it, big
you
guy.
guys.